Marvin Harrison is the top receiver in this class, and if you wanted to call him the top overall prospect in the entire draft class, you won't get any arguments from us. But this wide receiver class looks really good again in 2024. So we're going to take a look at who are the next best receivers after Marvin Harrison Jr. in this class. Just as I said there, Stu, there's a host of names that could end up going in the first round. And it might be best to go through some of them before we agree on who maybe is the next best receiver or wide receiver 2. So there's plenty of names there. I'll let you start with whoever you like.
Let's start. Why don't we stick at Ohio State? Because he's got a teammate there, Egbuka, who is another great prospect from Ohio State. They seem to churn out wide receivers at a rake or not. He is someone who I think might get a little bit lost in the shuffle because he is a teammate of someone who's such a good prospect, but don't let that fool you.
He is.
Yeah.
Considering where we started, the conversation's definitely dropped off with him.
I mean, he is somebody who I think will have a lot of success at the next level because I think he's a really clever route runner. I think he finds the soft spaces very nicely. He's someone who will become a quarterback's friend quite easily. We've seen these kind of guys who maybe aren't the most explosive, maybe aren't the biggest, maybe aren't the fastest, but he's plenty of those, but he's not going to be the top in those metrics, who are just that little bit more savvy, understand space, understand leverage, understand how to run an effective route, and have good, safe hands. And that makes me sound like I'm making him out to be a really boring prospect, but he's absolutely not. He just does all the little things, the simple things that maybe other players don't do because they are just quicker or stronger or faster than everyone else. He maybe has to think about things a little more, but I think he's a really interesting prospect. I think that he will be a first-round pick for someone. I think that he will be a really nice complement to any receiving group that he joins.
Does the way his draft cycle has gone so far, bear in mind he has missed a fair few games so far this season, does it remind you a lot of what we went through with Jackson Smith-Njigba last year?
Yes, I think it does. I think Jackson Smith-Njigba was a little bit forgotten, although I still came round to him as being my wide receiver one. I think that there is a comparison to be had there, and we sometimes do see that about people who, out of sight, out of mind, what have you done for me lately? I think that there's maybe a little bit less of that now. We've seen with the COVID year where people missed a whole year, and we saw how good they have been, that maybe people don't hold so much stock by that anymore. But if they've injuries, again, it is a different situation though, isn't it? But Smith-Njigba was somebody who people just forgot about because he had that great year the year before. Didn't do much, and now a few games into his Seahawks career, he's looking like a really good prospect.
Yeah, you think back to this time last year, there was reports where teams had a third-round grade on him and he was being left out of mock drafts constantly.
Not by me.
I think the same thing is kind of happening to Emeka Egbuka here, where I think people will end up circling back around to him because he's an elite option out of the slot, absolute technician, ultra productive.
That's a good phrase. He's a technician, player. Absolutely.
He's refined. He's solid. He might not have the highest ceiling of these guys, but he's going to be a very good player, and he should be a first-round player as well. I think I would go to Malik Nabers next, the receiver from LSU, who is having a really solid year, to be honest. He was my wide receiver 2 entering the season. Whether he is or not now is another question, but he is a player who has an extremely, extremely high ceiling. When he gets the ball in his hands, he just toys with defenders at times. He catches everything. It's such a natural receiver. He is only 6 foot, but he has a really good strength profile from that. Really physical. Plays tougher than you would expect for his frame. Skill moves insane. Got that really good body control and is able to create separation through a number of different methods. Just a very active player, which is what I like. He's going to always be around the ball, and you can get the ball to him in various different ways. So he's someone who I think will go in the first round and definitely has a chance to be that second receiver taken.
Yeah, he's a really he plays with a lot of physicality for someone of his size. I think he doesn't mind that he's maybe not as big as some other guys. He's like, it doesn't seem to enter his thinking really. I think that he runs well with the ball in his hands, very well, in fact. I think that he would be someone that you could have a short pass off to, and then he's going to break big. He's got that ability to do so. Once he gets up ahead, I think he's not the quickest in that real short yards, but once he builds up that head of steam in the long speed, then once he's gone. I think that he is someone who, again, when you're looking at that mix, aren't you, of receivers in your team, if you don't have that type of player, he may well be one of the first guys that you go for. Again, we're talking about fits. You know, if some teams have that type of player, Malik Nabers might not be the guy that they're looking for. They might be looking for some of the other skill sets we're going to talk about. But again, I think we're going to get a slew of guys going in the first round this year.
Yeah, it's a bunch of them. I think you could make a case for what, 8, maybe 9. You can make a case for.
Yeah, I mean,
there won't be that many because there never is, but you can make a case for that many, especially some towards the back end. Who's your next guy?
My next guy is Rome Odunze from Washington State. I think he is someone who... Washington, yeah. Why am I saying Washington State? I'm going to get slaughtered by someone for that. He just so used to saying state after everything, isn't he? I think that he is somebody who has the required height. He has the required speed. He has really nice body control for someone of his size as well. His route running is really quite good for someone that big as well. Again, he's someone who's able to find just that soft spot where he doesn't always have to be contesting the catches. His ability to beat man coverage as well. He's just got all the physical attributes that you would like. I think he has the ability to play outside very easily given the size, but he has the skills that he could play as a big slot at times as well. He's had a really good connection with Michael Penix. I think that he has been his go-to guy. He has all the kind of tools. I think that I would see him as a really good wide receiver too, to complement. And that's not a disparaging to anybody. We see plenty of wide receiver twos go in the first round. But if you have someone who is your one guy, he's going to be a really lovely complement to somebody. And I think that he has all the skills that, again, round one is well within his grasp.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he's building on what you said there in terms of his scouting report. I think he's going to be more athletic than people think as well. I think he will test better than we maybe expect. I find him a very savvy player. It's savvy route running. Is able to dip his shoulder, avoid contact, especially when attacking over the middle. Sharp cuts, explosive movement skills, and what I keep coming down to and what we keep saying about him is body control. The way that he's able to manipulate
his feet along the sidelines. You know, there was one play, I think it was against Oregon, where he almost was like tiptoeing down that sideline, and for a guy that size to control his body when around people was really impressive.
Yeah, it's size speed combo with a player who's got really good flexibility and body control. I really like him. I think he will actually go higher than we think. We're probably thinking of him a guy who could go back end of the first round. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go in the teens at all. The guy who I'm kind of leaning on towards this next best of the rest is Keon Coleman from Florida State, who I was on as my wide receiver 4 coming into the year, but has far exceeded the expectations that I think I even had of him. Transferred from Michigan State to Florida State and has been absolutely unbelievable. His report has all the size measurables, the ability to bail out a quarterback, because you see it with Jordan Travis, who we'll talk about at some point, but if a ball's overthrown, if a ball is underthrown, he's got a way of just finding the ball. You think there's not many receivers in college football who can do the things and bail out quarterbacks. The ball doesn't have to be perfect. He will find a way of getting to it, can pluck the ball out from absolutely anywhere. Awareness, ball tracking, absolutely fantastic. Create separation with physicality. The separation is always what I look for in receivers. Doesn't matter how you do it. Can you create separation? And the amount of separation you create is vitally important when evaluating receivers. Fluid, smooth, excellent blocker as well, which is always a nice plus when you're a receiver. I don't think there's many weaknesses to his game. He might not have the top end speed, but he's looking like an early first round pick at the moment.
He's an absolute beast. He would be an absolute nightmare for corners to defend against. And you're going to have to put your biggest, most physical corner up against Keon Coleman.
Yeah.
A 5'9", 5'10" corner is just not going to cut it. And then if you put in your biggest corner against him, either your quickest, because he'll just burn you for speed as well. The thing I like about him is his ability to adjust whilst in the air. He has this ability to be almost looking like he's going one way and he can flip his body and make a catch completely in the opposite direction mid-air, which the timing of that as well is really impressive. He can get good air time and he's up above the rim, as they say. You can tell that he's played basketball before. He's got that that kind of ability to him. I think that he has gone up and up and up in everyone's wide receiver rankings as the season's going on. Yeah, again, it's just about polishing and being a bit more refined. I think he's got all the attributes, even just a bit of time and development in some of these facets. I think he's going to be a really good prospect as well. I think he will test well as well. He's going to be someone that the guys are going to watch out for. And if he tests well at that size metrics, look for him going even higher than we think.
Yeah. They're probably the guys who are challenging for that next best receiver after Marvin Harrison. But there's probably some other guys that's worth just mentioning at this point who could potentially go in the first round that we can just touch on briefly. There's a pair of Texas receivers, A.D. Mitchell and Xavier Worthy, both very different players, but both equally as worthy of probably back end of the first round discussion at the moment.
A.D. Mitchell's just a touchdown machine. You see, if you're watching college football on a Saturday and you get a glimpse of Texas playing, it's just A.D. Mitchell winning the ball and scoring touchdowns. And at the end of the day, that's what the game's about. You've got to score points, and Mitchell's one of the best at that. I can't remember how many touchdowns he's got, but he seems to be scoring touchdowns every single week. He's another one of these big guys. I can't remember. I've not noted down his height from there, but you probably got it there right. He looks every inch of that 6'4" as well. In contrast to his teammate, who is they're almost like a little enlarged duo. But I think that's maybe again a bit disparaging to his teammate there. But for me, I really like A.D. Mitchell. I know that there's a lot of people high on him as well. If you want Keon Coleman, but you're drafting a little bit later, A.D. Mitchell's not a bad compromise, is he?
And he's got speed to burn as well. He's a very, very lanky, so he is under 200 pounds listed at the moment. So you might want some of that bulk, but that's where you get kind of these sporadic or explosive plays where in my notes originally had him to play with more control, but then I kind of watching him again and watching him play, I kind of that kind of makes him what he is, right? That he's
unpredictable.
Exactly. Great anticipation, avoids tackles, shifty. I can see someone taking a punt on him. And then Xavier Worthy has got this reputation of being a small receiver.
He's actually looked him up. He's actually 6'1". He just doesn't look it.
His problem is he's thin.
Yeah, I think that's what makes the difference, isn't it? He's skinny.
Yeah, he's 160 pounds listed, which probably means he's slightly lighter than that. He's going to need a couple of trips to Pizza Hut before the combine. He can get in touch with Bryce Young.
Yeah, the Bryce Young diet.
To check out in in Indianapolis. But yeah, it's the first percentile. It's just no, but he's super quick. We've mentioned on the pod before, but just he ran the 100 meters in 10.55, so he's absolutely electric. Scary elusiveness, just truly dynamic. We're all about building a room. If you're a team that has a bigger receiver and you need some speed, then Xavier Worthy's your guy. You think, trying to think of the right team, but maybe someone like, he's not going to go this way, but maybe like the Titans, who have got DeAndre Hopkins at the moment. They've got Treylon Burks, but don't really have that true speed guy. He would fit in well there. You could
Chargers.
Yeah, there's plenty of them. Chargers is perfect, actually. That's a great point. I like that, because we were talking about last season. Zay Flowers would have been perfect for them.
Oh yeah, we were all giving them that burner, and they've given Quentin Johnson, who's sadly just not. Yeah.
That works perfectly. I was actually going to say that someone like the Eagles, but that would just be unfair.
We're not having that kind of chat.
Couple of outside receivers that I think just are worth just touching their names on. We're both massive fans of Troy Franklin, but he's not going to be in this wide receiver two discussion, but definitely is worthy of round one contention. Xavier Legette has come on leaps and bounds this year. He's very much gaining traction. Roman Wilson from Michigan is as well, got a really good connection with JJ McCarthy. And one name to watch out for, because he's only just become eligible and might have a say in what happens with Drake May, is Tez Walker from North Carolina, who's only been eligible for the last 2 games after, who knows how to explain the eligibility rules if he wasn't eligible, but it's absolutely
it confused
madness.
Me.
Yeah, madness. But he has looked fantastic. Drake May was performing really well without him. Now he's got a true wide receiver one. That was really going to help him as well. So they're just some names who you are going to see climb and be talked about throughout. But really, we're looking at those top names that we spoke about for wide receiver 2.
Have you settled on who your 2 is then?
Well,
at this point,
for me, at this point, it would be Keon Coleman for me. At this very moment, if he continues doing what he does, I can't see that changing. But yeah, Keon Coleman for me right now.
Yeah, I'm a big Odunze guy, so I want to see how he continues the rest of the season. But who knows? We've got a couple of months to go yet.
Exactly. Well, there we are then. That's who we think could be wide receiver 2 in the 2024 NFL draft class. And again, let us know what you think. Who is your wide receiver 2 currently? We'd love for you to let us know. Down in the comments on YouTube is the best place for it. Is there someone that we've maybe missed, that we've spoken about a lot of names there, but is there someone maybe that we've overrated, maybe underrated as a prospect? Leave your thoughts down in the comments. Join the discussion. Let us know.